Diving into your next act or wondering what's ahead? Enjoy life as you change your path and embrace your authentic self.
Join me as we discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of making big changes in your life. New directions both personally and professionally. Shake things up. But don't worry, you are not alone. On each episode, we'll be sharing stories, providing valuable information, and introducing you to others navigating their next act. So let's get inspired.
This is a Candy Factory Convo, Life in the Next Act with Gail Shane.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Life in the Next Act. Today, we are going to talk with Christy Fletcher, certified dog trainer, author, and former TV news anchor and QVC on-air spokesperson. Christy will be discussing the importance of listening to your heart and making an important career change. Christy will also share her love of animals, her book, Tampa's Story, and how she is giving back by supporting animal shelters nationwide. Since childhood, Christy's love and connection with animals was very strong, competing on a national level, showing American saddlebred horses when she was only 6 years old. Her passion for animals, dogs in particular, continued to grow all through her life. As Christy experienced a vast broadcasting career in TV and radio, she also worked towards her longtime dream to become a certified dog trainer. Christy's mission is to help people better understand the human-animal bond and to keep dogs in their peaceful, loving homes with their families. Hello, Christy.
Hi, Gail. Good to see you, sweetie.
Good to see you, too. Christy, you seem to have really completed the circle of life. I would love to start with your love of animals, which began very early in your childhood.
Oh, I was just a baby. I feel like I fell in love with animals right when I came out of the womb, for lack of a better phrase. I remember this picture. I have this picture of me cuddling a puppy, and I think I was all of about 2 years old, and we had a dog named Sock Dog. And I have no idea how that dog, got that name. But I was cuddling one of Sock Dog's puppies, and it was just all about doggies and kitties. And then it grew into horses. And I was just really an individual like that. I flocked more towards animals than I did to people. Nothing against people, but I just was like that as a kid. And it kept growing and growing as I got introduced to the horses, as a little bit of an older child, and then into my teenage world. So,
And the horses led to something even bigger by the time you were a teenager?
Yes. My mom put me on a horse. I think I was about 6 years old, and it was just sort of a flim-flam thing. And I happened to be really good at it. That was just a skill that I had. And so at first it was just riding for fun and riding for exercise, but I was really good at it. And I started entering competitions, and I had trainers from all across the nation looking at me. And I ended up with one of the best trainers in the country in Indiana, Rockport, Indiana, a very small town, but she and her husband were the best of the best. And I ended up training with them. And of course, you buy and sell horses, and you get the best horse for you and your goal. And the goal became, we're gunning for the national finals. And the national finals was held in Kansas City. And I went there and got beat. And I went there again and got beat. But I kept going back. And in 1983, me and the horse named Grand Time, who was the beloved horse of my life, won the national finals in 1983 when I was 17 years old. And I worked at that for so many years since I was a little teeny kid, and it became sort of a job, but not really a job. It was something I was just so passionate about. I remember going on the road and my teachers giving me homework to do when I was on the road training.
That's how you balance school.
Yeah, that's how I balanced school. I made good grades. That was the deal. I had to keep my grades up if I were to keep going to horse shows. So I had to balance both.
And you're 17 when you won
I was
the big
17.
national award.
I won the big national final, the United Professional Horsemen's Association National Finals champion when I was 17.
How did you choose to go from all of that into the world of broadcasting?
Well, I was majoring in journalism because I was not very good at math. And I was not very good at science. I don't know. I just kind of got guided that way. And I was a good writer and a good talker. And so I was majoring in journalism, and I just ended up choosing broadcasting. And I had some professors at University of South Carolina that guided me. And I decided, okay, it's television journalism with me. And that's a tough career. I mean, you've been around it a lot. It's a tough career. And boy, you have to fight for the spot and work really hard. And I landed it finally and just kind of started climbing up the ladder. And I was in it for 13 years before I decided to try to walk away from the TV news game after 13 years.
Where did you do your internship? You were born and raised in Georgia?
Yes, I did my internship at 11 Alive in Atlanta, Georgia. And I think I was a sophomore in college or something around and during off semester, you do your internships during the summer. And I met people, I met Howie Mandel. I met a lot of different people doing my internship, and it was fun. That's a big news station. It still is a big news station. And so that's where I kind of just really kept gearing towards that future career.
And from a TV news anchor to selling food on HSN and then QVC, tell us about that journey.
Well, what happened was it was just after 9/11, and I'd been in the TV news business for, like I said, 13 years. It was and that was tough, going in to work every single day covering that kind of story. It really does kind of rips your heart out. And my contract was up. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to think of maybe a change. And I was married at the time, and my husband agreed with me. And he said, maybe it's time to, do something different. So that's what happened. And then I transitioned into going to auditions and things like that, just as a spokesperson. And I found an agent who represented people at Home Shopping Network when I was in Florida, because we had moved to Florida after I got out of the news business. And I eventually landed a gig at Home Shopping Network selling food, because to me that was more fun TV, broadcasting, than so much news every single day. You know what I mean?
How'd you find this agent?
You just look them up. You look them up and you ask people that, you find people that and you look them up and you send them your headshots, and you go on what I call the dreaded auditions, because those auditions are hard. I failed so many auditions. I was terrible. But I found this one person, and he said, "Do you really want to seek out HSN?" And I said, "Yes, because my background is live TV. And it's live. It's 1, 2, 3, go." I said, "So that's what my background is. I think I'd be good at it." Took me 3 years to get into HSN, 3 years. But somebody finally saw my video and said, "She's the girl for us."
And you were in Florida at that time.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And how many moves did you have?
Oh, gosh.
Can you remember?
Yeah. I actually started up here in Pennsylvania, and then I went to South Carolina, then I went to Tucson, Arizona, then I went to Corpus Christi, Texas, and then, oh my gosh, you move with the promotions. So that's with the news business. So you move with the promotions. So what happened, when I was in Florida with HSN, was right there in St. Petersburg. So that was 40 minutes away. And so I could just drive to that. But eventually down the road that we'll talk about, QVC came, which is a lot of you may know, is right here in Pennsylvania in Westchester.
Yeah. Right. And during this time, Christy, the passion for dogs strongly came back into your life, and you decided to take it to the next level. Tell us about that.
Well, I was doing Home Shopping Network. I was working at Home Shopping Network. My husband and I had divorced, and I still had that drive to do something with dogs. And I had boarded my own dogs at a place that was a canine boot camp boarding and training facility. And I just decided I picked up the phone one day and called Linda, the owner. And I said, you remember my dog Tampa? And we're going to talk about more about Tampa in a sec. I said, I'm trying to find out how to start becoming a dog trainer because I wanted to, and now I'm getting choked up. I get to be a big baby when I talk about animals. And I said, I wasn't even really asking her for a job. I just wanted her advice. And she said, put Tampa in the car, come on out and we'll talk. And so I put Tampa in the car because he was my touchstone and went out there. And before I knew it, we were sitting out under a tree by a pond. And she said, you know what? My assistant boot camp trainer just resigned. I'm going to bring you on and I'm going to teach you how to train dogs. And that was 2005 or 2006. So I had Home Shopping Network, but then I got the dream of opening a gate in the early morning, dogs barking, dog slobber, dog hair everywhere. and I was hot and sweaty. And I thought, this is where I belong. This is me. This is the real me.
You're in Florida. I have to keep track of the states.
I know.
And in 2010, you made the big move from Florida to Pennsylvania. Just you and 3 dogs. Three dogs. That's quite a change. Did you ever doubt that was the right thing to do?
No, I was scared because I was going, I did rent a 27-foot truck and hauled my SUV behind it and 3 dogs riding shotgun. My friends were shocked because I didn't really but Germac, the company that I sold the food for on HSN, had moved to QVC, and they were flying me back and forth up there for a while and putting me in hotels and getting me rental cars. But I knew that they were economically not going to continue to do that. So I had to make a choice. I was divorced again, and I needed that income. And I was committed. I had committed to Germac. So I said, I'm going. And I do remember that song, Jesus Take the Wheel. And I remember I got behind that big truck and I was scared. But then once I got on the road, I was saying to myself, you know what, I'm almost the biggest thing on the road, so don't run me over. And no regrets, no fear after I got started. And it was a great move and it was the right decision. It was the right decision.
And that was to be closer to work because you knew that flying back and forth was really
that wasn't going to continue. I don't think that was very expensive for the company. So I don't think that was.
And you just packed up. This move, so technically was for QVC, but you never lost your sight of your drive to work with dogs, correct?
Oh, no, not at all. I had 3 of them. And one of the first things I did is once I got settled in was reach out to a shelter near me and said, look, I'm a behaviorist. I was certified by that time through search and rescue and through the canine boot camp. I was certified on many levels. And I reached out to a shelter and said, I went to meet Joan, the executive director at the shelter. She didn't have an opening at the time, but I just gave her my information and said, I'm available and I want to help shelter dogs. I want to help them become more adoptable and all that. And it took about a year. And then all of a sudden she picked up the phone one day and said, our behaviorist just resigned. You still interested? And I said, yes, ma'am, I am.
Now, your training, you actually had Tampa with you.
Yes, I did. He was my partner. And
explain that.
Well, Tampa was the king of socialization. And so he would actually test shelter dogs with me. And And I could communicate with him so well. So if they said, okay, we have a shelter dog that we think is aggressive, but we're not sure towards other dogs, can you bring Tampa? And all safety measures were put into point here. I just want to make that clear. The other dog was on leash. Tampa was with me, but he would let me know. He would if I wasn't sure, and if the shelter folks, the staff, et cetera, were not sure, I said, I'll bring in Tampa. And all he had to do was give me that look and back up on the lead. And I would look at them and say, this dog does not like other dogs. Because if they didn't like Tampa, he was the friendliest dog on the planet. I said, they don't like other dogs. It didn't mean they couldn't find a home. It didn't mean it was not still hopeful. It just meant it needs to be the only dog in the home, right? So that's what we were trying to determine.
Quite a team you were. So you're balancing dog training, you're balancing QVC, completely different. How difficult was that?
It was tough. The tough part was the guilt got to me, because the dog training, the folks with dog training, they understood. Because when QVC calls, you go. I mean, you know how it is to be on air. Hey, it's a schedule, and we have a show planned. And so I would have to put off the dog training and call my clients and say, I've got to postpone, let's reschedule. And I started to feel like I was neglecting them. But again, I needed to be a 2-income household. I had a single woman, I had just made a big move. And so I wanted to keep that balance going. But the guilt got to me is what really got to me.
And you could be on QVC day or night, right?
Yes. Yes. They throw things at you left and right. That's just the way. It could be in the middle of the night, or somebody else has to cancel and they'll call you in. So it can be, and it's stressful. It's fun. You're selling food, and I was selling food, but it's also sales. And you know what sales, that's stressful. So I had to balance that with my devotion to helping doggies and their humans.
Sure. What was the life-changing event that eventually led to your choice to commit full-time to dog training?
Tampa died, and he died in 2016. He was 14 years old, and he died. And I think my heart and head started to turn a corner then. He lived a nice, long, full life, and I had to make the choice to let him go. And that about near destroyed me. And that's what led to me writing the book to sort of, get out of the grief. So I authored the book, but I was still working at QVC. I was still trying to train, but then that was author, training, and QVC. And then the guilt, that I was talking about got even larger. He was published in 2018. He has his own website now and everything with the book. And that was when there's this pretty face. There's my baby. That's going to make me cry. But that's when, I think I started to turn the corner. And then this year in August of 2020, with everything going on, I don't know, something just hit me. And it was like, I've got to step it up, and it's time to take care of the dogs, and it's time to follow the passion. I told you.
Well, when you were grieving, you shared with me that you were looking for a book. Did that help you decide to write a book? You couldn't find the book that you wanted to write.
No, I was taking myself to lunch. I went to the mall to get some makeup one day, and I was going to take myself to lunch and have some soup, and went to the bookstore at the mall, and I was looking. Obviously, I gravitated towards the animal section, and I just couldn't find anything. Nothing just hit me. And this was, 2017. This was 2017, almost close to a year after Tampa died. And I just couldn't find anything. And I just walked out of the bookstore, and then it hit me, and I went, what am I thinking? This is when I get choked up. Why am I not writing the own life story of my dog? because I can write. And I had faith in myself that I could do it. And so I took myself to lunch, and then I went home and I sat down on the couch with my dog, Raja, that I have now, that I've had for years. And she curled up next to me, and I started writing Tampa's story. That was the day it just hit.
How long did it take you?
About a year. I started May 2000, and publication was late August of 2018. So about a year, but it really did help me get through the grief. At first, I didn't know if I could emotionally get through it, but I did.
What was the most difficult part of writing and completing Tampa's story?
Hitting send.
Hitting send.
Yes. Because you go through the writing, and I got through that. That helped through the grief. The proofreading is tough, as anybody would know. Proofreading anything is tough because you don't want any mistakes. You don't want all that stuff. So you go over it, and I had the editors go over it. I had a best friend that majored in journalism go over it, and I went over it and over it. And then once you hit send, when you self-publish, it goes to print.
And how does your heart feel?
Well, it was nighttime, and I thought I was ready, but I didn't do it. I waited. I went to bed. That's, go to sleep. It's just like, go to sleep, sleep on it. And I woke up the next morning, and I almost started proofreading again. And then I thought, you know what? No, I have the courage. I've got this. And I hit send. And to my knowledge, no, and you've read the book, nobody that's read the book has ever found a flaw. I mean, you want it to be as perfect as it can possibly be.
Right.
And, that's, I'm very happy with the way it came out. People love it. But that was the hard part, is going, send.
Now, part of the proceeds, Christy, go to animal shelters in need of help. How did you decide to do that?
That's happened sort of in the middle of the book, as I started more and more writing about him, because he was a rescue, and all my dogs that I have, Raja, the dog I have still now, is a rescue, and I worked around rescue. So just kind of built through the whole process. And Tampa was a very spiritual dog. He was a giver, he was a pet therapy dog. He loved all other dogs and all people and everything. And I thought, well, this is what he would want. It's his book. It's Tampa's story. And so I said, this is what we're going to do. We're in 16 states now. You can find the map on his website. It's easy to find. 16 states, 30 different shelters, rescues, and transports. And I do want people to remember the transports. These are volunteers that are moving dogs, cats, any animal away from kill shelters to no kill shelters, or away from hurricane areas, right? Mm-hmm. Where dogs have been, So I try to give everywhere I can. It would be more than 30 shelters now, if not for the situation of 2020. I haven't been able to get out and do book signings this year. They all got canceled because of what we're dealing with. Yeah.
Right.
But we're still continuing. We're going to continue. We're going to power through next year and keep selling books and keep giving as much as we possibly can.
I'll remind our listeners, visit ChristieFletcher.com, and you will find the map and where Christy and Tampa have given back. Again, 16 states, 30 shelters, rescues, and transports that have benefited from Tampa's story so far. I'll name some of the states.
Okay.
I'll name the states: Pennsylvania, Florida, Georgia, Indiana, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Maryland, California, New York, Alabama, Minnesota, Oklahoma, Missouri, Texas, and Michigan. And they say thank you. Christy, when you had the 3 jobs, author, dog trainer, and QVC on-air spokesperson, again, that is a lot to balance. What did you learn from having so much going on?
I learned, well, to balance more, and that at some point that I needed to focus on what I truly loved. And there's nothing wrong with the job at QVC. I'm very grateful for my friends and everybody there. But I remember what somebody wrote to me when I decided to make this big change and move to the next act. He wrote to me privately. It's a high school friend. And he wrote to me, when you marry your work with your passion, you will never work another day in your life, ever. And so I learned I had to balance it. I also learned not to listen to my friends.
Right.
And I love my friends and family and all that, but I learned this is a choice that you have to make in your inner spirit. So I didn't tell anybody that I had kind of planned on moving away from QVC and pursuing the passion. So it kind of shocked some people, but that's okay. They were just worried. So you have to listen to yourself. This is your choice. This is your next act is your choice. That's the most important thing.
And you truly listen to your heart.
Oh yes,
Truly.
And I'm a very spiritual person, and I look for signs, and there were signs everywhere. And I just woke up one morning in mid-August of this year and said to myself, it's time. It's for some reason right now, it's time, and I have no regrets. And you're going to be
Not
scared.
not a one.
No, you're going to be scared. It's okay to be scared. I mean, you're scared. I've been scared my whole life. If everybody, has fear of something, that's a natural, emotion. But that's okay. That drives you. And that is one more tribute to Tampa, because he was fearless. He wasn't afraid of anything. And so I keep that spirit alive in me and say, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Because Gail, when I'm training dogs, I don't care if it's 9 degrees outside. I don't care if it's pouring rain. I've done that too. I don't think about anything else but that, because that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
That's perfect. Christy, thank you so much for being with us and sharing your passion and sharing your story. You can reach Christy at ChristyFletcher.com for upcoming book signing events, Tampa Story, dog training, and more. And I'd like to leave you with this: the 3 simple rules in life. If you do not go after what you want, you will never have it. If you do not ask, the answer will always be no. If you do not step forward, you will always be in the same place. Join us next time as we aim to inspire, empower, and inform. Life in the Next Act is a proud member of the Candy Factory Collective. You can find the show streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And you could subscribe to the audio version anywhere you get your podcasts.
Gail has experienced many acts over the years. Living a full life, she is a mother of 2 and grandmother of 3, and currently calls Lancaster, PA home. An entrepreneur at heart, she's owned several businesses, hosted a popular radio show, and has written for prominent publications highlighting nonprofits. While she holds her real estate license in Florida and PA, she believes her true calling is giving others a voice.
Learn more about Gail at gailshane.com. Life in the Next Act is produced by the Candy Factory Collective at the Candy Factory Co-working Campus in Lancaster, PA. Production support by Jason Mundock and Anna Tran. Administrative support by Ann Kirby, Ariana Henderson, and Krisha Martzell. Notes and links can be found on the show post at our website, candyfactorycollective.com. Candy Factory.